Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Nightwatch.js series. I hope you're enjoying this series. So far in the series, we have learned what is Nightwatch.js, how to set it up, how to write your first test. Today, we are going to learn about running browser automation. So we have a bunch of tests that are written from the last session. We are going to take them forward and run them on cloud Selenium grid. And for that purpose, we are going to use Lambda test. So today's session, it's all about browser automation. What are you going to learn today? Today we are going to look into Lambda test, what it is, how it can help us, and how to set things up. Then we'll be looking into setting up Nightwatch.js for browser automation, and we'll be running the test automation on Lambda test, look into the reports and see what kind of result we'll get out of it and how to reflect on them. First thing first, what is Lambda test? Lambda test is a Gen AI native quality engineering platform that empowers teams to test intelligently, test smarter, and ship your product faster. It's built for scale. It offers full stack testing cloud environment with 10,000 plus real devices and over 3,000 browsers for cross browser and end-to-end testing. We are going to see that in practice today. Executing test scripts on the Lambda test Selenium grid with Nightwatch.js is pretty simple and straightforward, and we're going to use the test cases written in the previous session. However, we have to do some setup first so that we can make our test and the environment compatible with Lambda test so that we can run those automation on the cloud and see the results. So let us focus on setting up Nightwatch.js environment to run it on Lambda test. If you don't have an account with Lambda test yet, first thing is go to lambdatest.com and create an account by signing up. Once you sign up, you can log in and then you can get to this dashboard. Click on this dashboard and you will be on this dashboard page. At this point, I don't have much over here, but as and when we start running our test, we'll be able to see the results over here. We'll be able to see the test runs, get into it, drill down and get more information about it. But before that, there are a few things that you need for running the Nightwatch.js test on Lambda test. Once you have logged in your left sidebar, you have something called credentials. So click on credentials. Here you will find few things. One is username, access key, and manage credentials. So username is something that you need to connect your test to the Lambda test. So click on this icon and copy the username. If you have already created the access key for yourself, you will be finding this access key option over here. You can again click over here and copy the access key. Keep username and access key both safely somewhere so that we can use it later point in time. In case you have not created your access key, click on this manage credential, or on your profile photo over here, you can click on it and click on the account setting. Coming to account settings, under password and security, you will be able to find the same information for username and access key as well. Okay, you can create a new access key by clicking on this refresh icon. That is going to create a new access key for you. You can same way copy the access key from here for your usage. Again, please keep the username and access key safe because we'll be using them. All the code that we have used in this series is there in TestScript organization. If you go inside repositories, you will find this Nightwatch.js tutorial over here. Go inside that and then you can simply clone this project by clicking over here. This URL you can copy and clone this project. If you are already coding with me for last few sessions, you already have this code. Here I have the code base, Nightwatch.js tutorial code base, and all the tests that we have written so far are here, like dev test. Dev test was just an explanation, not real test cases, but real test cases we have written from here with e-commerce test, homepage test, sample test. All these are real test cases that I've written in last session. So if you have not followed it yet, please go back, take a look into it so that you can follow this session as well. All right, now for this test cases to work with Lambda test based Selenium grid, we have to do certain configuration. And for that purpose, please follow this. We have to first install some dependencies. The first dependency we're talking about is called Node REST client from Lambda test. And the second one is called cross env. Okay, so for that purpose, let's use this command yarn add. If you're using npm, you can use npm install. I'm using yarn, so I'm using yarn add, and the package name is add lambda test /node/rest/client, and I'm installing it as a dev dependency. So --dev and enter. This is going to install it. Here the installation is over. The next dependency I'll be installing is called cross-env. So same way, yarn add cross-env -dev. Let's install it as well. Both are installed. If I go to package.json file, closing this up, I'll be able to see these two dependencies, dev dependencies are installed right now. Awesome. Now, next thing is, so far all our configurations are in nightwatch.conf.js file, isn't it? All the configurations that we have written here, like what is the source folder, what is the page object path, then the custom commands, and all these things are in a JavaScript file which has an object, and inside this object we have everything defined as a key value pair. So one change that we will be doing right now will be creating a JSON file itself, because if you take this one from this line, this is a JSON basically, which we are exporting from here. Okay, though it's a JavaScript file, but we are exporting nothing but a JSON, which is a key value pair. Now, the change that we'll be doing to reorganize this thing in much better way is that this JSON will be refactoring into a JSON file itself called Nightwatch.json, and then import that JSON file inside this JavaScript configuration file and do some additional configuration into it. So this will be a good separation of concern. All our JSON related configurations will stay in the JSON file, and whereas JavaScript will have certain kind of declaration that is required plus this JSON file configuration. So tomorrow if I have to add one more configuration, I don't have to touch this conf.js file. Rather, I can tweak the .json file itself to add the additional configuration. Okay. Now for that purpose, on Nightwatch.js-tutorial, this folder, right click and create a new file and give the name as nightwatch.json. Inside nightwatch.json file, if you see, I have migrated everything. Like I had a source folder over here, src underscore folders. I have created src underscore folders. Of course, as it is in the .json file, not on a .js file, you have to make sure that keys are also string and they have defined a string with under double quote. Then this page object path, custom command path, whatever I had over here, everything I have just migrated, the globals, the web drivers, then the test settings. Under test settings, I have done something extra. That's what I'm going to explain to you right now. But before that, let's see everything that I had in the .js file, I have just put over here, everything, every bit of things, test workers. Now let's talk about the test settings. If I go to this configuration file test settings, in the second video, we discussed about this test settings when we discussed about the setup, that this is where you can declare what is the desired capability that you are running. For me it was Chrome, you can mark it as Safari and whatever it is, right? And then what are the different browser capabilities that you want to declare here, that you want to run your test locally. So I had declared Chrome. I think I had also showed you declaring Firefox, Safari, etc. in that particular video. But now I have to run these things on Lambda test. So it means that I have to change this configuration not only to run on localhost, but also to run on the cloud like Lambda test. So for that reason, on nightwatch.json file, if you come under test settings, you will find a few configurations that I'm going to explain to you. And by the way, again, this GitHub repo is given to you. I'm going to give you another GitHub repo that is created by the Lambda test team itself. That GitHub repo is also in the description of this video. You can just copy paste this configuration. You don't have to handwrite it, but it's good to understand what exactly it is doing. Now over here, you are seeing certain default. One default is request timeout option. That means after what amount of delay in milliseconds, this is going to declare as a timeout. Okay, so this is the value that you can actually configure. The launch URL is of course lambdatest.com, and we will be running it on the Selenium grid. So that configuration is also over here, right? The Selenium port, Selenium host, you are configuring things over here. Okay, then it is not a silent one. We are enabling the screenshot, and look here, there is something called username and access key, and you are seeing both of them are empty. We'll be supplying them. Where do we get them from? In the beginning of this session, we have configured them. We have got them from the Lambda test website itself. Like after login, we got from the application what is the username, what is the access key. We'll be using them, passing them from outside, as those are sensitive information. We don't want to hard code them over here and then push it to a source repository. That is not a good practice. Rather, we can keep them in some environment variable, or we can use them while running the script. So this username and access key can be applied, their value can be applied. Okay, then the desired capabilities. Before it used to be on the local machine, but now what we are talking about, we are talking about the options. So for example, if you talk about this Chrome, you see this desired capabilities. LT is for the Lambda test options. Browser name is Chrome. Browser version is the latest version. Project name we can give of our choice. and W3C standard, yes, and this is the plugin that we are using to run it. So if I am running a parallel test, that means I'll be running my test on not only for one desired capability, Chrome, I'm also going to run it on Safari, whatever I'm described here. For example, Firefox, Edge, on all these environment, even on the IE, right? So I will show you how can I run the test in both parallel mode and non-parallel mode on Lambda test, and that time we'll see the differences in what kind of environment we're getting this output. But the long story short, this is here we are declaring the desired capabilities as Chrome, and the Chrome is defined, like that. Safari is defined like this, Firefox is defined like this, Edge is defined, even IE is defined, right? So if you need to have it running for all this environment, you can keep them. If you don't need, you can just delete the one that you are not requiring for. Exactly same thing we have done in the previous videos, but everything was in local. Now we are going to run them on the cloud-based environment, which is powered by Lambda test. Now I have this JSON file. Now the modification that I'll be looking for to do in the Nightwatch.conf.js file is to consume this JSON file and do my additional setup. So coming here, I'm just going to delete all this. I don't need it. I'm just going to delete this entire object because I have moved them already. And instead, I'm going to declare a function here, which will take a bunch of settings that will be passing through that JSON. And here we will do a require, which is nothing but importing. And this is where we will be importing the nightwatch.json file. Now this JSON file is imported in the configuration file. If I find an environment variable called lt_username, what I'm going to do is, like, from the test settings, under default, the username which I have declared in my JSON file, test settings, under test settings, default, over here I have this username. So if I am passing a username, a Lambda test username using environment variable, I am setting the value of this username with the value that I am passing through it, right? That is the setting. Similarly, I can do things for the access key. So if I am passing an access key, in that case, under test settings, default access key, I'm setting the value of this access key. So under test settings, default access key in my nightwatch.json file, test settings, default, and then if I go to access key, which is empty now, so I can pass them as an environment variable while running this, and whatever the value of access key I'm passing, I can set it over here. So these are the two things primarily I need right now. One is the access key, another is the username. Even if you want to override the Selenium port and Selenium host, you can do the same thing. If you want to pass them from the environment, you can write the if condition from them as well. Okay, after this, let's return the settings. So that's all my configuration now, and see how clean it is right now. All my setups or the settings related things are in the JSON file, and then I am importing this JSON file over here and then setting just two things. One is like the username from outside and the access key, so that I don't have to hard code them inside the JSON file. We are almost set up. Now we have to start running it and see whatever we run now, all this test, whether I am able to see them, under automation on the Lambda test cloud, and able to make sense out of it or not. For that purpose, let's go to package.json. Coming to package.json, you will see a script, and here there is a test dummy script. Just remove this. We are going to create two scripts over here, one for the single, another for the parallel. Two types of run. Okay. Again, in our previous videos, we have learned about what is single run, what is parallel, how to configure, and all these things. Similar configuration itself we are going to pass, but pass it through this scripts. For single, we are going to run the test on Chrome, our default browser, default configuration browser. But for the parallel, we are going to run it on Chrome, Edge, Safari. Okay. So let's write the script for single first and understand it. The script for single looks like this. Now what we are doing, the cross env, here with cross env, we are setting up the environment variables. We are also making like config_file is single in this case. The node modules being Nightwatch is the library, Nightwatch.js library basically inside the node modules folder. And then we are saying that we are running all the tests inside the test folder on Chrome browser only. Now for the parallel, it's almost same. This particular variable value, we are setting it as parallel, same Nightwatch library. But here you are seeing that we are trying to run the test in parallel on multiple browsers, multiple environments. One is Chrome, Edge, Safari. I think we are almost set. Okay, let me go to Lambda test once and go to the home page of it, the dashboard. From here, come to automation. Here you will see multiple options. from these options come to the automation options where we'll be able to see the results. So right now it is empty. There is nothing running. There's nothing really happening. Okay. Now we'll go back to the VS Code, and here I have to give the command. There are two things that I have to pass as an environment variable, because we have seen in the nightwatch.conf.js file, it is expecting something called lt_username and lt_access key. So these two variables value we have to pass so that I can read them from the environment variable, set them appropriately on the username and the access key, right? So let's start running this command. Now using lt_username, you pass the username that you had copied before. I have provided my username. Similarly, using lt_access key, pass the access key that you have copied before. After providing that, you can run either npm run single or just yarn single. Now this is going to kick off all your test run, because we have written the script already for single to run all the tests inside the test folder on the Chrome. Okay, let's press enter. It's kicking off. As you see, it's kicking off. Is going on. Let me now go to the Lambda test console for a moment. Now if I come under web automation, I can see this Nightwatch Selenium e-commerce. It just got started. In fact, it is over. Okay, now if I go back to my VS Code, I can see that this is done. Passed 10 total assertions. All these things are done. Now I should be able to go to Lambda test. We'll be able to go inside this particular test that it has run. I'm expecting that it has run on the Chrome browser. So it's loading the test. Yes, it has run on Chrome. Selected Windows as an environment. And I can see there are 3 tests that are run over here, right? This is the first one, first test. I had 3 test files, second test, and this is the third test. Let's pick up any of them. For example, the middle one, and see what are the things that happen. What are the different commands that it happened. So first is created a session. For example, it has to run it on Chrome browser, so create a session. Then I had a test case to navigate to the URL, so it's navigating to the URL. I can even click on it and go to each of these details, then finding the elements, then executing the things, get the page title. All these things I had as my script command. It just executed everything. Now there is a beautiful thing that you also have a video over here which you can play just to see what exactly happened. You see over here what is happening. Now I'll go to this e-commerce site through my test. You see over here, I'll make it full screen for a moment, and then it'll do some search. Yeah, it's doing some search of iPhone. The list of iPhone comes up. Yeah, then it said go to the login page, and that's what the test was, right? So this is what exactly it happened. You can also rerun this one from here, right? You can replay and rerun. It will do the same thing over here. So this is how whatever we were doing locally so far, I'm able to now run it on the Lambda test cloud. But what is the advantage? The biggest advantage over here is like when we are developing or we are shipping a product, we may not have all the environments with us. You may be on a Windows system where you have Edge browser, Chrome browser, Firefox. You may not have Safari, but you have to test on Safari. Or you are on, let's say on Mac, you don't have Edge, for example. You have to test on Edge, right? So all these combinations, it's not always feasible that we have this environment with us. That's where the beautiful product like Lambda test, the environment like Lambda test is very, very helpful, where you can run your test. And by the way, I'm running all these things so far on my free account. You can get much more feature once you upgrade, but this is how you can actually get started. Now I have done the single one, right? It's the single run. So it ran on just one browser, that is Chrome. Now let's go ahead and run the parallel so that we can see how it can run on multiple browsers altogether. So for that purpose, I'll go back to VS Code once again. Now instead of the single command, I have to give the command called parallel. That's all I have to do. It will kick off this test again. All right, it's kicking off the test. I can already see Safari over here. Let's go to the Lambda test automation page. Great, I'm seeing it's running. So if I go inside now, I'll be able to see multiple tests running. You see, this is already running on Edge Windows, right? If I go to the other one, it's on Chrome Windows. If I go to the other one, it's on Safari Mac version 15. If I go to the other one, let's see what is that. Yeah, it's again Chrome Windows. So all my 3 tests that I have defined are now parallelly running on all the environment that I have defined in my package.json for the parallel run. And the same thing that you can do once this is over, you can go to this test, each of this test, For example, this is completed. I can see, yeah, I can go to this test. I can see all the command. I can basically run this video to see like what exactly got executed. This other one is kind of in the halted mode or the queued mode, I would say. Once it gets the appropriate machine and resources, it will execute. But eventually, all of this will get executes in parallel and will get all this test run on different environments that I have defined. That's the awesomeness of it, right? So far what we have learned, all the tests that we have written so far in our last session, we are able to run them on the cloud environment like Lambda test and run the automated end-to-end test with the browser automation. So if you go back once more to VS Code and go to the test folder, I have not changed anything over here. So if I pick up any of this test, for example, this one, e-commerce playground test, what it did basically, it can navigate to this e-commerce site. It try to find out whether the title is having your store or not. It search the iPhone over here and then it click on the login page. This is exactly what we have seen, right, when I played that video on Lambda test. So before it was executing in local, now I can do it on the cloud using Lambda test. That's the awesomeness of it. So all the code, you will find it here on Nightwatch.js tutorial. You will find a branch called with-lambda test. When we publish this video, in that branch all the code changes will be there. Also, Lambda test has published another repository called Nightwatch Selenium sample. You can check this repository as well. This is quite elaborative. If you are looking for something which is like step-by-step tutorial, you can look into this. It has all the steps, almost similar to what I have showed you, right? Here it is doing export LT username, export access key, all these things. I showed you by using it directly by running this command and a bunch of more information that you can get from here. So keep this particular repo also handy. I'm sure like it will be useful to you. Find the link of this repository in the description of this video as well. So with that, we are done with how to run the browser automation using Nightwatch.js, and we have showed it on a platform like Lambda test. How can you do this? In the upcoming session, we'll be going little bit more in depth. We'll be learning about assertions and locators. Without assertions and locators, we can't go far in terms of writing our test. So what are the assertions? What are the locators? All these things we are going to do. And one great thing is, as we are done with first, second, third, fourth chapter, we'll be now be running all this test on the Lambda test directly, right? So whenever we are doing an example with assertions or locators, we'll be quickly running them on Lambda test and we'll see like how it is working in the cloud, because that is how most of the organizations are doing things. You won't be running these test cases locally. Rather, these test cases will be checked into some repository. From that repository, it will be run on a cloud environment like Lambda test. Of course, because of the same reason that I have explained, that all the environments won't be there with you. You need something that provides you most of the environments where your customers are running your product, right? Then after this one, we'll be talking about asynchronous test, then multiple browser test. A part of it I have already given to you in terms of parallel running, but we'll be getting a little bit more deeper into that, and finally with the debugging, right? So stay tuned to this. Once again, thank you for watching. And if you have any queries, please send an email on support@lambdatest.com or go to www.lambdatest.com for further information. If you want to learn more, please follow us on lambdatest.com/blog. There are plenty of articles, well-written, in-depth articles are there for you, not only about Lambda test, but about the entire test ecosystem. You just pick up from there. Also, please join our community at community.lambdatest.com. If you want to achieve Lambda test certification and recognized on your resumes, you can go to lambdatest.com/certification. Please get educated, get recognized about it. With that, thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with the 5th edition of this playlist. Thank you.